I'm Joe Chenier. I'm with the engineering department. I'm joined by the Commissioner of Public Works, Chris Gent, and the consultants working on the project from Labella, Britt Bassinger and Matt Rogers. So this project is part of the ARPA funded parks project. We're currently in the design phase, as you can see, and purpose of tonight's meeting is to first give Britt a chance to give you an overview of the project and what we some of the options we're thinking about with the park, and then the second part is to solicit input from the community, the immediate residents. We went ahead and we sent you probably received a letter, but we sent a letter to the immediate adjoiners in the neighborhood, and this is the response we got. And after this meeting, we're gonna develop the plans a little bit more, and we're gonna have a follow-up meeting either towards the end of the month, but more likely it will be excuse me, June. And we're also joined by Council Member Grant. And at this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to him. Bartlett Park is in Chris Grant's ward. Chris, if you're ready, Matt, can you unmute Chris, please? And I'll turn it over to you, Chris, if you wanted to say a few words.
Okay, I was trying to unmute. Hi, sorry, I'll go on video in a second. I'm just getting myself together, but
do you want to? We could do it after Britt's presentation if you want to collect yourself a little bit. I understand it's technology and all that.
Yeah, well, honestly, I would much rather hear from people, and then kind of speak after that.
Okay.
In terms of what I feel about what people are saying and for my ideas for the park. So I kind of want to hear from the community, whoever's here, and then hear your plans, and then I'll go after.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna start with Britt from Labella. He's gonna just do an overview of what our plans are, and then we're gonna give everybody we do have quite a few people on here, so we want to limit it to just a couple minutes per person. Just in the interest of time. So without any further ado, Britt, I'm gonna kick it over to you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Joe. Good evening, everyone. My name is Britt Bassinger. I'm a team leader here at Labella, and I'm the project manager, working on behalf of the city to, advance the concept plan and hopefully construction drawings for the plan that you see in front of you. Also with me tonight is Matt Rogers. He's a planner with Labella and assisting in the project as well. So, just to provide you with an overview, the improvements at the park, just include a few things. In the lower left-hand corner, we're going to replace the old equipment that has been removed, including a merry-go-round. And in the bottom left-hand corner of the image, you can see, a typical image of, what that play equipment might look like. We're going to look to the residents and the public to help us, pick out a color scheme that you think is right for the city and the park. And we'll move forward with that much needed improvement. The other primary element of the improvement project includes a basketball court. And there are two options for the basketball court. One is a full-sized high school footprint, and it'll easily allow for regulation play. And the other option is a smaller footprint that is not regulation, but it's, the perfect size for like 3-on-3 basketball or just kids to play in that, hopefully that new facility. Some of the other things that are being included is a new drinking fountain that'll accommodate a trough for pets, a park entry sign, and improvements to the electrical hookups so that small events may happen here, perhaps a pop-up community gathering of with a small event. And so with that provides you with a relatively direct and simple overview of what the improvements are. And what we're going to do now, as Joe said, we're going to open it up to individuals one at a time. We'd like you to keep your comments to 2 minutes. If you've heard a comment before, you can just respond by saying you agree with the other comments. And Matt's going to go ahead and select you guys randomly, and we'll give you each the floor. There won't be an opportunity for full discussion amongst each or the totality of participants, but we'll get to hear from you individually. So with that, Matt, go ahead and select
Yes.
the first participant.
So the way I'd like to do this, I'm just going to admit one more person, is if you're on screen and if you would like to make a statement, or if you have a question, just raise your hand physically, or you can use the raise your hand function that Zoom has. So right now I have Monica who is raising her hand. So I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. So you have that ability now.
Okay,
have
thank
the
you
floor.
very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. So I live right around the corner from Bartlett Park. I've lived here for over 20 years, and I actually grew up on Forbes Street. So I've been on Forbes for like 40 years, over 40 years. So I know the park very well. My opinion as a retired educator of 36 years is to go with the smaller size for the 3-on-3. The park traditionally is younger children. That really appeals to it with the playground and things like that. So if they wanted easier access as far as running up and down the court, things like that, I think a 3-by-3 would be better. I also think as far as a community space, if a game wants to get together, a 3-by-3 is a more manageable size for a recreational activity, that we're not drawing, massive crowds to the park. Oftentimes on my way home from work, I used to drive past the park right there on Market, and it's a great community space with people playing, but I wouldn't want in our area something as big as what's over on the corner of the Arterial and Market there. And I also like the fact that it wouldn't require tree removal. It's such a nice space, and to maintain the green space. Even though, Chris Grant, I would like the tree removed in front of my house because it's dangerous. I, in general, would prefer the footprint of the park to remain as is.
Great, thank you.
Do we have anybody else that would like to make a comment or have a question? I would recommend that you turn your camera on to signify that, or if you can use the raise your hand function. So we have
There we go, Michael and Raylene.
Rayleigh. Yeah, so let me give me a second and I will ask you to unmute. So go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're curious about the rationale behind the basketball court. We anticipated some upgrades. We're right across the street. We can see the park from our house, and similarly to Monica's thoughts, a lot of little kids come in. It's fun to see everybody. We take our granddaughter over there. So we anticipated when you took out the jungle gym that something was coming. So we're excited about that. We're just curious about what the rationale is for the basketball court.
Joe, do you want to answer, or Joe's on mute?
Oh,
There we go.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, there's been quite a bit of back and forth with the basketball court. There was originally a basketball court back there, and I think it was removed somewhere around 1998 or 99. Chris Gent could speak to that. He was part of that project. But we have been getting, positive feedback well, depends how you want to look at it, but we have been getting a push to get a basketball court reinstated from the former councilwoman, and council member Grant can speak more on that after everybody's finished. But yeah, there is definitely there's mixed opinion about that. And that's really one of the reasons why we wanted to have this meeting today, to see where it's going to shake out. There is the strong desire for it, but we're not married to the idea. Again, I'd like Council Member Grant to speak to that at the end of the meeting.
Okay, so we had Tina and Noble had their hands up earlier, so I'm gonna go to them, and then Diana will go to you next. So Tina, go ahead and unmute. You need to unmute, Tina. Are you able to find the unmute button?
There should be another box that comes up for you you click on mute, and then there'll be another box.
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
There you
Okay.
go.
Anyway, so we live at this Tina McKenna in Noble, Shropshire. We live on Hooker Avenue, right off Dwight, kind of kitty corner to where the basketball court would be. We would think the smaller option, again, option 2, for the same reasons that were said before, for not getting rid of the trees. And in terms of, I think it's open until what, 10 o'clock? Which I think would be fine. I think in terms of the light, we have a huge spotlight over us anyway, so it doesn't matter. And in terms of nefarious activity, or whatever you want to call it, I think the very fact that there's light there would kind of discourage that. I mean, it's going to happen anyway, even in the dark, without it. I'm sure there are things going on, and it's pretty well policed. And as long as it doesn't go too late, I mean, I feel sorry for the people on Hanscom, because that's really right in their neighborhood. But I have no objections to it. Neither of us do. In terms of the playground equipment, if there's a certain point, we could have some input on terms of the colors. It's a little bit bright with the purple and green. Something a little bit more organic would be great. And as well as the signage might be a little bit more discreet. But we have pretty much no objections, because I think if there's going to be trouble, there's going to be trouble. We already have it here anyway. And I think actually the lights might discourage it.
I just wanted to make a clarification. We weren't planning on lighting the basketball court.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't know if you saw that somewhere in our materials.
Yeah, the park is open dawn to dusk, so it wouldn't be open.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing. We never got any notice of this. For some reason, we've been here since 2017, and we find out from other people on the block that they've got notices, but we're always left off.
Huh, I mailed it to everybody, and the people that didn't have that had a landlord or something, I hand delivered the letter. So what was your address? I apologize for that.
73 Hooker.
73 Hooker.
There was a problem because we used to live in Milton, and the city keeps putting this down as Milton, and we've gone down several times to the city hall to change it.
I might have hand delivered it. You might have something slipped in your door out front.
No, yeah.
Anyway, I apologize for that. I'll
That's
make sure
okay.
to keep you in the loop. If you want to put your email in the chat, I'll make sure that I'll keep you abreast of the situation with the playground, and when the next meeting is going to be. That goes for everybody. If you want to populate the chat with your emails, and we'll start an email list for future meetings, and if we're soliciting any input.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, great. So
Thank you,
we're
Tina.
gonna go to Diane next, and then to Mike. So Diane, go ahead and unmute. There you
Can
go.
you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Hi, Diane Padovano. And I'm speaking for my husband Frank as well. We're at 79 Hooker Avenue. We've been here since 1986. And so we've watched the park evolve through many phases. And I think there was a really specific reason why the basketball courts were removed. And we were probably in favor of that, though we weren't asked specifically. I'm very glad that you have sent this notice out to ask the people that it affects the most. Whether there's light or not, the basketball courts tend more to be used in this neighborhood after hours, and the bouncing of balls and the extra annoyance that it would be to the police, I think, and really not fair. It would be further away from us, it looks like, than it used to be. But I don't think it's fair to all those people in the apartments and all the people in Hanscom. You really need to take a look at why this was a piece of land that was chosen. There's really far too many houses that directly hear the noises that come from the park. It's hard enough to live in the summertime right across from the park, though. The police do their best, but we have to be very diligent. So if there's something that really attracts older kids to come, and basketball courts just do that in the middle of the night, and it's really not I think the best use of this land. I think that there's so many other things like the Autumn in the Park, where that big space is used for things. It's great actually for cross-country skiing. I've been doing that for the past all these years, just to be able to use that open space, and relay races, things that are much more functional use of it than to put a basketball court. I don't know whether there isn't another spot in the city, why this was chosen, why a former, what do the people that are proposing it, do they live near the park? Can they really understand? And it's just what the basketball court in history has tended to do for the park. It doesn't really make for a real community living. It makes for more of a nuisance in the middle of the night. Is really what I feel. I think there's much better use of that open space. In fact, open space is really delightful even without a hoop. We've even tried to have just one hoop. It just didn't work. But especially two hoops and making it a whole place to have basketball. I think schools are better for that, more used to that. I think there are basketball hoops there. I'm not really sure who is driving this and how close they live to the park and how much they've spent 30 years.
All right, thank you,
at night.
Diane. I think we're
Yeah.
going to move along now.
Okay.
Thank you for your input, though. It's
great.
duly noted.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we're going to go to
Mike.
Mike Harmuth. Go ahead and unmute Mike.
Okay, you got me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. My wife and I have lived on Hooker for about 38 years now. We remember when the basketball court used to be up there. By the way, we're not in favor of the basketball court being returned to this area. It drove a lot of street traffic, a lot of noise, a lot of broken glass in the parking lot up there. The park may be closed at dark. The traffic and the foot traffic did not stop at dark. In fact, it kept going all summer. They'd be there all a long time at night. I think it's great increasing the area of the playground. My kids used to play down there when they had the old wooden forest and everything set up there. More for the younger kids. We don't need more paving in the city of Poughkeepsie. We need to keep it green. If you're going to put something there, the location is bad. You're only about 10 feet away from the parking lot. You can have balls flying through and damaging cars. And the signage needs to be changed. We're in a historic district here. There's a stone slab directly across from the park notating a historic district. If we could have something up there a little less McDonald's-ish, the shiny colors, we appreciate it, and something to notice the history of the park. I mean, this was the site of a private school back in the day, and was given to the city when the school closed down as a park and has to be kept as a park. If there could be some notation of the Bartlett family up there, would be, I think it'd be appropriate use of the area. But again, no basketball court, and keep it as green as possible, as green and low key. There's plenty of other places for playing basketball in the city.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a notation. Two people have mentioned the signage. The city has invested in a program for the like unified signage amongst all of its parks, and this sign is a result of, you know, a study that the city did and has plans for implementing those signs over time at the various parks. So it's a unified sign approach.
Right.
That's why we picked that sign.
Yeah, there's one at that can be installed at Pershing Park shortly, and at Malcolm X Park as well. There's a plan to standardize and install these at all of the parks, but it's not moving forward at this point. We're gonna do it in a phased approach as we develop the parks.
Okay, does
Thank
anybody
you, Mike.
else? Yes, thanks, Mike. Anybody else? We'll go to Councilmember Grant. So you should be able to unmute now.
Hi, how's everybody doing? I'm Councilmember Grant. Bartlett Park is in my ward. I live on Gray Street, which is less than a mile away from Bartlett Park, and I've lived here for almost 15 years. I'm born and raised in the city of Poughkeepsie. I've used every park in the city of Poughkeepsie. It's hard for me, and I don't want to sound like I'm taking it to a place where it doesn't need to go, but it sounds like to me, I mean, everybody here is from the city of Poughkeepsie. We know that basketball is like the most popular sport here. It sounds to me like a lot of complaints are, it's kind of sounds like they don't want groups of young Black kids around that area. And those are the major 99% of the people who use the parks in the city of Poughkeepsie. And I'm not trying to, you could call it BS, but I'm just telling you how it sounds to me. But I'm for the basketball court personally. I have a young son. I don't like that I live on Gray Street and I have to go all the way to Tubman or go all the way to King Street or go all the way to Pershing when there's a park right around the corner from me. There was a basketball court there in the beginning. So, being you guys are, it's a historic park. So I'm all for bringing it back to its original purpose, which included a basketball court. We can come up with regulations and stuff to keep people out of the park late. I mean, we have a police force for that. We can put them to work. If they got to keep people out the park, that's fine with me. Any size basketball court, I'm okay with, number one. Number two, I do believe that there should be something for the seniors. I don't think we have a lot of parks that, I don't think we have, I'll answer that in a second. I don't think we have a lot of parks that cater to senior citizens. I would like to see maybe like a small track if possible. I would also like to see, obviously, more signage. There needs to be stuff in the park that, keeps the historic stuff that show the historic information about the park. That needs to be there. I do believe that our playground equipment should include something for kids with developmental disabilities, autistic kids. There's a lot of sensory equipment that I've researched and I've seen online, and I think Spratt Park has some of that too. Some of the stuff I saw is similar to what's at Spratt now, the new stuff. I think, we don't have a lot of parks that cater to kids with autism and developmental disabilities. So that's something I'd like to see at Bartlett Park, and maybe a handball court. If we're going to do a half basketball court, we could probably do a small handball court in there too. I know handball is a very popular sport amongst older people. Exercise stations is a good idea. I think that with having a lot of stuff in the park and bringing a whole lot of different demographics into the park, it's going to deter a lot of negative stuff that you guys might be afraid of. I think if we put stuff in there with the seniors, if we make stuff in there that more adults can use, I think that it'll shy people away from doing bad things in that park. Because obviously people do things in private. Most of them don't like to be caught. So I think if we keep that park activated with stuff for seniors, I think that's a good way to to deter a lot of the negative activities. Also, I think Erline Patrice Park has it, something where if people want to have like a community event, they could hook up, maybe a band could hook up and set up. I think we need something like that at Bartlett Park too, especially with the porch series that we got going on in that area now. I think it'd be a good use of the park to be able to throw small little festivals and stuff in there. But for the most of it, I believe that including something for all demographics of people will deter a lot of the negative activity.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Grant. I see Diane's hand, but before we go back to her, I just want to see if anybody else that has not spoken would like to make a comment or have a question. Laura S., I'm going to ask you to unmute. Go ahead, Laura.
Thank you. I live in the 8th Ward. I don't live adjacent to Bartlett. I only found out about this meeting by accident. It's never once been mentioned at a common council meeting. I have friends who use that park often, and not a one of them got a notice about this. You might not call them adjacent, but they might live down the block and around the corner. That's pretty adjacent, and they are park users, and they knew nothing about this meeting.
Well, Laura, if I could interject, this meeting is specifically for the adjacent residents, and then we're going to have a public meeting.
Well,
So
I'm a 6th Ward representative on one of the city committees.
okay,
So I have an interest in the 6th Ward, but I also have an interest in transparency. And I sent in a Freedom of Information request to find out how Labella got the design.
Lori, this isn't the time or the place for this conversation.
Well,
This
I
was
think it is.
advertised online. Okay, it was posted online. Again, this isn't the time or place, and you
Okay,
can have
well,
you can have your 2
I'm-
minutes, but
I'm
let's
put-
keep
I'm
it
putting
cordial,
my-
please.
Yeah, I'm putting my comments on the record. I want them on the record. I think Chris Grant has some explaining to do why he hasn't reached out, and Natasha Brown also. And I want these comments on the record, because this is not a representative meeting of park users, nor adjacent property owners and renters. Thank you.
Boy, I did a mailing to all adjacent property owners. It's all, everything's on the up and up. Go ahead, Chris.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Oh yeah. And Lori, you're right. I didn't mention this, and I'll be honest. If you want some transparency, I'll be honest. It really slipped my mind, because they had to send me the Zoom link again today, because it just slipped my mind with so many things going on. So I do apologize for that. And I don't think this is the end be all. I think this is just a conversation, and we are going to have a public participation, if possible, at the common council meeting, just for more people to be involved and having a conversation about it. So I'll take full responsibility for not letting people know ahead of time. I have spoken to some people who live around the area who called me. So, some people did know that something like this was coming eventually, but I wasn't able to let everybody know. So I apologize for that, but that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, anybody else have comments or questions? If I don't see any, we'll go back to Diane. Go ahead and unmute, Diane.
Okay. And I really appreciate everybody's comments. I appreciate that you have opened it up to especially the people that live right around. I don't know if everybody understands my history here. I have always tried to make the park as usable for everybody as possible. For 20 years, I organized Autumn in the Park. I want it to be a place where everybody enjoys living together as a community. It just concerns me that in the past, there has not been enough coverage to be able to cover it late at night when it tends to happen. And so that's the thing I'd like to try to prevent. And it's very difficult for the police to cover that park at night. That's all I'm trying to say. And so that I welcome any opportunities to have the whole community with activities that they enjoy, to be able to share time together.
Thank you.
Right. And like I was saying before, I think the key to this is making it a park that everybody can use at the same time. I think that's the major key. And like I said, we don't have a lot of parks that are for seniors, that have things for seniors to do or things for kids with disabilities. But I think the main part of it is just including every demographic in one. I don't think there's going to be bad stuff going on if there's seniors walking a track at a park, you know what I'm saying? So one more thing I wanted to say was and I know that there is not a lot of, the police can't do everything, but I will say, if you ever see a car sitting in Bartlett Park late at night, it's probably me, because sometimes I sit around different areas of the ward and just kind of study what's going on at certain areas. So I will say that a few times I sat at Bartlett Park after midnight, I didn't see anybody coming up there, and I've done that about over 5 times. So because I do look for things like drug use and illegal activities in parks, because I'm real that hits close to me, because I have a young son and I have a lot of young family who play in these parks. So sometimes I'll scope the parks out at night to make sure nothing's going on. So that's it. That's all I got.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, and anybody else? So Diana, I see your hand up, but I want to make sure everybody else has as many opportunities, and then we'll give you one more crack at it. Any other comments? All right, Diane, you're up.
And again, I will work with the city very closely on this, and all the community members, because the concern is the after hours. It's not during the day whatsoever. It's the after hours, and living here night after night, there are things that go on, and a lot of it's it just tends to happen, but we have to be vigilant with it. And so I'm glad we're all on the same page that way, finding the best activity, the best use of this, considering how close it is to so many people who live here.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? All of the text comments that we're getting, the chats, that all be recorded along with this conversation. So, those will be entered into the record. Anybody else? If not, I'll turn it over to Britt and Joe to close it out and discuss the next steps.
Okay, like I said, we will be having a follow-up meeting. If you didn't put your email down and you'd like to be CC'd on any further correspondence on the project, please do so now. We will also be posting updates to the engineering website. We have a tab set up for Bartlett Park, so everything we've presented tonight is included on the tab. And just thank you for joining us tonight. I know we're all busy.
I do, sorry to cut you off, but I do want to have a public hearing at a common council meeting about this.
Okay, we'll see about getting that in the works.
Okay.
All right, again, Britt, did you have any last
No, I
words
just
before we
wanted to
stop?
thank you all for your comments and thoughts, and we'll keep you posted. And please make sure you visit the city's webpage for further updates on the public meeting.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
If I email
Okay, thanks.
anybody in the 6th Ward, you can email me, give me a call if you want to have a conversation about it. I'm always open to talk to anybody. So my number's on the website. My email's on the website. I'll drop it in the chat. Anybody can give me a call or send me an email or shoot me a text.
Great. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Okay, thanks.
Just drop that in the chat.